Hello there, Bick Benedict here. We're playing Gears of War 3 on the Series X, and this is my insane difficulty guide and walkthrough. We're currently on Act 4-2. It is entitled Crater. So this is a very difficult chapter filled with mandatory, unskippable, just ruthless fights. Now, before I mention anything, I wanted to note that I did have to go back the previous chapter and obtain a long shot and give that to Sam. I could have given it to everybody, but I got tired of having to use my retro lancer on the third fight in this chapter because, as you know, it's not really good for long range fighting at all. And I just got really sick and tired of the lack of ammo with it, the slow reload with it. So what I have taken into the stage is the boom shot and the torque, but I'm not going to use either of those two weapons on this first fight. On this first fight, I'm going to switch out one or the other of my power weapons for the retro lancer and use it to destroy the pods and the mutators that come up. Although it should be noted that one of these mutators, I believe, is a one cycler, so you have to watch out for that. And then in the beginning of this fight, it's prioritizing those Lambent wretches. And I didn't feel safe staying in that middle structure over to the left. I like to get on those pods right away. Okay, so that fight's pretty much done. The second fight, what I'm going to do is I'm going to, and this is all really particular, so if you don't have any inclination to do this, don't worry. But if you do want to follow this to a T, by all means, listen up. I'll tell you exactly what I've done. So on the next part, well, let me say this before I leave. I switch back out the retro lancer, drop that, and pick back up whatever power weapon I set down initially to pick that up. So that we'll be leaving here with the boom shot and the torque bow maxed out. Okay. And then once you cross the barrier onto the other side, there's going to be some polyps you're going to be dealing with. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take back my lancer from Sam. First, we have to deal with these polyps. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to substitute my torque bow for the retro lancer. Give the retro lancer to Sam in exchange back for my lancer. And then you notice that we now have a boom shot and a lancer and a torque bow sitting at the edge of the cliff back there. Don't worry, once the fight's over, we'll come back for that. So I plan to use all my torque bow on the next fight, but on this fight, I decided to use all the boom shots. And the reason being is that there's just far more you can do with 12 rounds of a torque bow against more enemies than having a boom shot with just less ammunition, and trying to deal with pods. I tried to deal with pods. Oh, let me note this here. There's polyps that drop out of two drain spouts, and then as you push up, where Anya's going into that awning up there, there's one limb wretch that you'll want to take care of. If you don't need to worry about him too much. Switch over to the boom shot over here. Flank this area. When the third pod spawns on this stock, try to get it centered enough so that you can get a splash damage effect on all three pods. And then before you reload that gun, the boom shot, switch to something else so that when you come down here, you can switch back to the boom shot, which has a reload coming to it, and then ideally you can get a perfect active reload with that and take care of all three of those pods with the extra splash radius and radius damage. So it doesn't always work like that, though. Sometimes you don't need to be particularly accurate, and sometimes you do. Sometimes the splash bonus doesn't do as much as you think it should do. But sometimes a lot of enemies group up on these stairs. That's what I was hoping for over here. There's a couple of the dredges over here. There's also an ammo box behind me. So I would say that the hardest fight on this chapter is the one that's coming up. Okay. So you'll want to take. I would take I would take the Lancer, and you'll know the wave is just about over when you have one final spawn of a lambent right over here. He jumps up and kind of pushes down part of the train car up there. He's the final enemy. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to be picking up some ammunition for our Lancer. We will be able to max this out in just a minute. And then since we're out of boom shots, we're going to go back to the initial part of the stage where we entered it and swap out our empty boom shot for the torque bow. So we'll be going into the third fight with 2 incendiaries, I believe maxed out snub ammo, maxed out Lancer ammunition, and then maxed out torque bow rounds. Ignore the sawed-off shotgun. We'll be picking one up at the end of the chapter to deal with the gunker. But when you first come up here, you're going to be beset upon by some polyps. Now, the polyps aren't bad at all, and you're not going to see them during this fight. What you are going to see is a bunch of lambent wretches. So once these first enemies are cleared up, it's really your choice about where you want to position yourself. I like to set up some frag grenades at the entrances, but here I didn't. Because I thought that maybe throwing those flames would behoove me a little bit better. Now, the first stock that spawns over here is going to have a pod that's directly in front of you. Unfortunately, with the torque bow, we can't outright kill it, so we'll have to fire some Lancer shot into it or another torque bow. Despicable having to fire two torque bows into that. But some of the pods take a while to spawn, and some of the pods are on sides that you can't get to without putting yourself in grave danger. So I like to come up here and kill at least 3 pods, but just bear in mind that this whole time you're doing this, you're quite vulnerable, especially to those wretches and any of the lambent drones that like to circle around. The saving grace about this part is not only the fact that your teammates, when they all fall down, do not need to be revived by you, which admittedly puts you in a horrendous spot because then everybody comes after you willy-nilly. But the area where the cave crashed down over here. Also, if you have no damage on your HUD and you chainsaw a lambent wretch, you can survive the blast. But if he claws at you and then you chainsaw him and then he explodes, you won't live. But it really is nice, though, that you can fall back as much as you possibly can. But that is going to require that you have at least a decent store of ammunition. Here I am setting a couple of traps for these enemies over here. There is an ammunition box over here, but it's part of that cluck shot nonsense shit. You can't get the ammo. But your teammates will just be out there just getting themselves bodied, unfortunately. Look at this huge crowd of drudges and lambents out there. It would have been perfect to have a boom shot over there. But anytime you see those wretches coming at you, fall back as much as you possibly can. And if you don't want to waste your Lancer, switch to the snub and take them out that way. Because I'm telling you, there's a long path back there that you can literally hide out back there, and it has a curve to it too. So enemies, if they were chasing you, they'd have to go all the way up to you and then turn towards you, giving you time enough to just set upon them with ammunition. But I figured that using the boom shot to destroy all of the pods, because there's like 6 or 8 pods on that stock. It's incredible how many there are. Maybe there's not that many, but trying to destroy all those pods amidst all this instant death out here at every moment, it's just not worth it. So I wanted to make sure that the people who are following this walkthrough are going to be able to emulate it in the best manner possible if they are struggling on it. So again, a wretch is coming after us. We need to fall back. And yeah, look how far you can come back here. You can go all the way over here, down here, circle around. And it's so easy it's hard, and it's so hard it's easy. It's one of those contradictions in terms. But since the stocks wither up and decay, and since the pods eventually stop spouting out enemies, there's only going to be a set amount of enemies for you to kill. So the worst thing you could do here would be to come here with, for instance, like a hammer burst. That would be horrible. Like a hammer burst and just a little bit of boom shot ammo, or a retro lancer. I would not recommend having the retro lancer there. It's god awful. And then we have an anticlimactic couple of sections coming up over here. We have some former fighting over here. We haven't fought formers in a fair bit. Now, when you do face the gunker, the sawed-off shotgun works really well on him, and one of your teammates should probably have that weapon so you can pick it off him or her and get more ammunition for it. And you can even get sawed-off shotgun ammunition from the normal crates too. It just baffles my mind why you can get those from a crate, but you can't get long shot ammunition from a crate. It's just very strange. I mean, what's next? Are they gonna let us get fucking digger ammunition out of a normal blue crate? It's just incredible. But this storeroom over here is quite dangerous, because if you get caught in a reload when enemies are running over to you, as happens many a time over here to me, so I'm definitely not above this. You could potentially be fucked. So I don't know about the mulcher, you guys. The mulcher's pretty damn slow. I usually pass on the mulcher. But you don't have to stay in the storeroom if you don't want to. It's just that you've got all manner of chaos going out in the main room, and it might even be easier, at least once you stave off the initial formers, to partake in the main room, as I'm going to, I believe. And there's one point at which I think we get a lot of kills with one of these frag grenades on the ground. Right there, perfect. Absolutely, very nice right there. Had to pat myself on the back and tell myself that I did a good job there. But see how this room is just not that long, and getting caught in a gun jam is just the worst thing possible. So now here I am partaking. But the fight's just about over. Oh no, we've got one more onslaught, it appears. That room from which they came has a staircase, and we're going to be going up that area. So now I think I'm going to switch out. I may already have. Yeah, I did it in the space between the edits. So I do have a sawed-off shotgun with 12 rounds. But I really, again, I detest the fact that you don't get 2 shots with the sawed-off shotgun the way you do in Judgment. I know it's for balancing reasons and things like that, but you have to ask yourself, when you're playing a game like this or making a game like this, there's balance and then there's taking away fun. And I think Judgment really understood the latter, because they definitely did not take away the fun, and they allowed you to have 2 shots with the sawed-off shotgun. You know, it has a slow enough reload time, a hard enough reload time to hit, because people get impatient waiting for it. And anyway, the gunker over here does not really do his normal tricks. Circle strafing around him is the order of the day, basically. And he just punches. I don't think he grabs. He definitely doesn't throw gunk. 4-2 creator, that's definitely, I would say that that's a difficulty spike, guys. And I will see you in the next chapter. And until then, please take care.